One of the people that really got hit hard was our ex-president. He was on the board for 3.5 years. He lives across the street from the office. They were in their house playing poker with their family. The trees came down and were 6 inches away from their head through the house while they were playing. They all made it out safe. He is a very close friend of mine. So yeah, he is just now got his house back and just barely moved back into his house this past weekend.
And they've yet to call it whatever it was. I and a number of people personally think it was a tornado. They never really even declared it as a microburst, but obviously it was something.
It was amazing that nobody got hurt. It really was. With all the damage that you saw and how much trees were down, we had 170 trees cut down in one area. Half were because of the storm, the other half being damaged. Yeah, it was, I've never seen anything like it.
We did have a tree budget, which we hadn't started to use yet because July 1st was the beginning of our year, and then that was right after that. So we were just ready to start using the budget that we had in the account for the trees. And then it was a matter of, the people in the community wanting to help. What could they do? How could they be the most beneficial and help what was going on? And we decided that the tree account was the one that we needed to work the most with because we wanted to get rid of the damaged trees as much as we could so there wouldn't be any other damage to trailers in the future.
In the event of a natural disaster, like a microburst or a heavy thunderstorm like they experienced in Tanglewood, it really did highlight some of the vulnerabilities of these communities that we do need to address kind of structurally. We want to be proactive rather than responding once the damage is done. We want to prevent the damage. Things like the weatherization programs that a lot of resident-owned communities are investing in at their own home unit, and all the way to scaling up to things like community solar to make them more resilient to severe weather and power outages, while also, reducing energy costs that impact, just our everyday lives in between storms. My hope is that for future ROCs, that they will be able to have the tools to better weather these coming storms, so that we can be more proactive in our response to the changing weather landscape. We don't want to cut down trees, but we have to, right? All communities have to kind of balance the risks posed from wind versus the benefits with heat and runoff. And so actually it was one of the residents in a Rock to Rock meeting that we attended who said, maybe we should spend some of our tree cutting budget on hiring an arborist. Maybe there might be some trees that are better for, cooling, that don't pose as much of a risk as, say, maybe a tall pine tree would. And so maybe there's some planning that we can do rather than just cutting down all the trees.
When I think about the aftermath of the storm and the impact it had on Tanglewood, I'm honestly just so proud of their community and proud of the way that they came together and that they found solutions and they problem solved, and their board of directors, their voluntary board of directors worked so incredibly hard, not only caring for their community and seeing that people had what they needed, but finding solutions and ways forward and how to deal with the impact of the storm. And it was really a privilege for me to get to help them with that and help them coordinate. There were a lot of emails and phone calls and figuring out how they could use funding and what would it look like to do tree cleanup and the storm cleanup and things like that. So it was just an honor that I got to come along with them and help them through that process. As we go forward and what we learned from Tanglewood as we look to the future with other ROCs across the state, we're really focusing on helping them to continue to update their capital improvement plans, developing more trainings around board proficiency and community engagement so that we can really help equip them to just keep building really strong and resilient communities as we go forward.